G'day, mate. Welcome to episode 72½. Yep, it's another half episode, which means another recap episode. And it's been a week. It's been a week of upgrades. Lots and lots and lots of upgrades. We've started playing with more and more Factorio Extended. Not so much in big, heavily moduled beacon builds, but just small things that needed to be done to make the base a little bit more efficient, run a little bit faster. We haven't gone out and expanded and got any new territory yet because we don't actually need it. In fact, in some respects, we're having problems spending what we have already. So let's go through what happened this week. So we're going to start Labs. Sure, let's start Labs. So Labs got a full rebuild. Main reason Labs got a full rebuild is we'd upgraded to the Mark III Labs that should run a lot faster, but didn't. They ran at the exact same speed. The only difference is they had room for 4 productivity modules, which is 40% extra bonus compared to the stock standard 20% extra bonus on your research, which actually adds up to an awful lot. On top of that, science pack wise, we went from using about 100 per minute, 110, up to using 200 science packs per minute. So we basically doubled the amount of research we could do, and at the moment we can only half feed this. So we now need to look around the base and actually improve all our science builds and make them a little bit more efficient, a little bit, a little bit of an upgrade here and there. So this was the first, well, this was one of the last things that actually happened. At the start of the week, let's go to the start of the week. So, start of the week, the very first thing we did was we worked on this red circuit belt. Red circuits have been the bane of our existence for quite some time. So we had red circuits. They got another minor upgrade. They're going a little bit faster than what they were previously. And technically we still don't have speed module 3s in here, so they can go even faster. So they need another revisit, mainly because we're not actually filling this belt at 75 items per second. We actually need more red circuits. It also led to green circuits having a bit of an upgrade here. But as you can see, we're sort of maxing out these belts, and we can't really do much more about it until we sort of invest in better smelting arrangements, which will be coming up this week. Speaking of smelting arrangement, the other thing that we had to play with is we went and upgraded steel. Steel was very, very large and had used a lot of level 1 productivity modules because that's what we had access to. Now we're running, let's go to the top left-hand corner because he's going 1,000 miles an hour. We're running very, 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 very fast iron making into steel making, and it's actually keeping up mostly. Our poor, fast, long-handed inserter is trying his absolute hardest. He does rotate, what's that, 2,500 degrees per second. So he's quite fast, but yeah, he's probably not really keeping up. Even though technically we've got too much iron. Actually, you know what? We're not feeding iron in fast enough. That's your problem. It's those little things that you notice after the fact. Alright, I'll fix that up off screen. So yeah, these guys got a major upgrade, major overhaul. It actually means now that we are producing items per second. We're doing 67 steel per second, which is like, what, a blue belt and a half? Almost. It's not quite a purple belt. I don't really think I need a purple belt of steel, he says, knowing full well it's Factorio and you're going to need a purple belt of steel eventually. But yeah, with productivity, we're going from 240 iron ore into 336 iron plate and then up to 67 steel. So it's actually one hell of an upgrade over the previous system. After that, we went and played with oil because we'd upgraded our red circuit production, which basically drank all the petroleum we had and then some. So several things had to happen. First off, we needed to go capture more oil because these little guys were going flat out and weren't keeping up. So, well, we had to do a couple of things. We had to make a nice streamlined pipe through the whole system, which we sort of had already, but we also had to upgrade it with more oil. So we have this oil field up here, which it's far enough away from oil that you think I just train it down and plumb it in, but we actually already bring oil all the way up here to load into our combat trains to go out to the front line. So For that distance, it just wasn't worth it. So we're actually bringing oil in, we're tapping it straight into this existing pipe and then running it down to our refineries. You'll notice there's no pumps on this line because technically I need oil to be able to backflow up to this spot. So there's not really a good spot to add more pumps. And at the same time, it also flows from this intersection out to this wall. So yeah, but it has given us enough oil that we're definitely running oil fast enough. As you can see, we have a tank right here, which has 25,000 oil in it. So we've got plenty of oil now. We've also upgraded the refineries to Mark III, along with all the associated chem plants, because why not is pretty much the only reason. Actually, I just found out I missed you and you. So we're going to upgrade those because the green ones look odd. It also meant that we got to upgrade plastic like once or twice. These guys are now... Well, 12 chemical plants without productivity, without speed modules, are producing 120 plastic per minute. I do know that my issue is going to be trying to get coal into all these because they use 180 coal per second, and I don't possibly have 180 coal in here per second, but that's a later JD problem that we're going to ignore for now. After that, so we did the plumbing. We did... part of steel, which was something I wanted to add on, we did a universal balancer. So we're bringing off lots of iron ore to run our steel smelter, and then we've got to remember that the iron from this corner is actually coming through and still running the main base. Not that we need a lot of this iron. A lot of this iron actually sits on belts and does nothing. As you can see, not many of the smelters are running, and this one is pretty much dead because it gets no iron ever. But that's all besides the point. We added a universal balancer onto the end of our normal 4x4 balancer. Basically, it just means there's 2 lane balancers at the end, which, well... we're only using 2 bolts out, and we're just being lazy and lane balancing 4 into 2. Yep, whatever. But it makes sure that we have the max amount of iron coming out of the system. We also, afterwards, started concreting the world once again. Because, we also updated module production thoroughly. We did have a whole lot of modules, and then I went and built a couple of things, and now we have no modules once again. And I expect that same situation to hang around for quite some time. We're actually going to be next week really working on oil, green circuits, red circuits, blue circuits. We're going to have a dedicated off-site, in air quotes, oil builds that will be just doing a whole lot of modules. Anyway, yeah, we also upgraded modules, mainly because I wanted more. On top of that, I still needed to start mass producing efficiency modules Mark II, because efficiency modules are actually used in the assembly machine 5 and the electric furnace Mark III, along with our refinery Mark III and our chem plant Mark III. And as you can see, they all need 2 each, and we've gone through a lot of them. So yeah, some small upgrades were needed. Same with, like, we threw in an extra blue circuit because I think I can feed it. I'm not sure. We sort of have a problem with the bases either short of red circuits or blue circuits, or red and blue circuits, or blue circuits or red circuits. It's always short on one sort of circuit. Greens seem to be fine, although occasionally they're short and causing blue circuit problems. Yeah, it's the base is a bit of a mess. But once we upgraded module production, we started producing more and more of the assembly machine Mark V's, which have the awesome crafting speed of 3, which meant we went through the whole base. We went through the whole base and we upgraded every single assembler that needed to be upgraded up to tier 5, along with filled the damn things full of as many prod mods as possible. Because it just means we're getting more stuff for the cost of power. And as our power situation is currently awesome, partially because of the amount of nuclear reactors we have running, also partially because of all our burnable belts are full again. In fact, we have a small problem with they're going to start backing up again very, very shortly. It's a less than ideal situation. But yeah, we upgraded the whole base to assembly machine level 5 and prod mod problem on 3s all the way around. So that let us get a little bit more production out. And it's probably one of the reasons we could take our science from 100 per second up to 200 per second. We had a little bit of overproduction, but this was the nail in the coffin, so to speak. So we upgraded the whole base. So as you can see, the red and green science done, so is military, so is all their feed-in parts that can be prod modded, have been prod modded. We had to steal some gears off this machine, which had some spare, and bring them down here. But, you know, it's fine. A little bit of spaghetti fixed that problem. We also went through and had to upgrade speed module 1s because we were chewing through them. We're still chewing through them, it seems, which leads to a problem with we don't have any efficiency modules, which then breaks another build. Yep. There are problems, and there are more problems. And again, it's caused by not enough red circuits. We upgraded the rocket parts, the yellow science, the engines to go into the blue science, the electric engines, the robot frames to come back and go over the yellow science, the whole low density structure build, which has some random bits of copper in it. Sure. We also came down here and upgraded what we could of purple science. Purple science is one of those things you can use productivity in, but not a whole lot. But we can. One of the interesting things is we can have maximum productivity between our iron rods and our train tracks, just because this assembly machine is so fast. It's running at a 1.2 speed with 40% extra productivity. This guy's running at 1.25 speed, stock. And we can't put productivity in train tracks, otherwise I would. So yeah, whole base got a major upgrade, much more productivity, which has probably spiked our power. Not really. The power seems to just keep going up. As you can see, our assembly machines are using a lot more power than everything else, but assembly machine. So our assembly machine 5s are using a lot more power. Our assembly machine 3s, 4s, and 2s, they've all been cut down in the amount of power usage because we've been replacing them with a lot of assembly machine 5s. On top of that, we had to come over to our great goop sorter, and it again needed upgrades. If you remember, we had a whole pile of assembler 2s out here, just rows and rows of them to process everything, and basically we needed a bit more room, so we upgraded them to assembly machine 5s with that crafting speed of 3 that I mentioned before, rather than the assembly machine 2 with a crafting speed of 0.25, so it made a massive difference to just the amount of material that we can get, or the amount of space that the whole build took up. So we now have Alien Ore Mark 1, Alien Ore Mark 2, Alien Ore Mark 1 and Mark 2. This is to produce iron to go over and do concrete and everything else, which we'll get to shortly. At the same time, because our uranium is completely backed up and we have nothing to do with it, up until next week, we found something to do with it. We also added in a Alien Ore 3 and a Alien Artifact into stone production. Purely because we just need somewhere to spend the stone. So we're now putting all that stone onto basically a couple of belts, running it out here, and fired back up the brick furnace to make a crap ton of concrete. I'll have you, and I'll have you. You guys do not need speed modules anymore, because you guys got thoroughly upgraded as well. In fact, you guys have a issue trying to output half the time. So yeah, these guys got a thorough upgrade, and then as you can see, we're producing concrete so fast that a belt of 75 items per second cannot keep up with us. On top of that, we got refined concrete, had an upgrade, and then an upgrade, and then we threw speed modules at the problem, basically because we just have too much stone to concrete to refined concrete. And yeah, I threw speed modules at the problem. So we're still producing concrete like you would not believe. We have finished concreting the bottom of the map, and I've started expanding north to concrete more of the map. But we're going to run out of robot range of things to concrete very, very shortly. We have started upgrading and using Roboport Mark 3s. Where's a good example? This guy in this corner is a Roboport Mark 3. And he covers all of that area. So like a whole screen's worth at maximum zoom. Roboports normally have a range of 50 and 100. 50 and 110 it was changed. That's right. They upgraded the construction range to 110. And Roboport Mark III has a range of 100 by 100 and 200 by 200. So much, much larger. Which means that, yeah, we've deforested every tree we could find our deconstruction... Our construction... Our decon planner hands-on. Every tree has been ripped out of the ground, and at the same time we have started concreting everything. And we've also topped it off with just harvesting all the fish for why not reasons. Obviously, you know, all your fishes belong to us. Oh look, more fish. You'd be surprised how many fish you can get in a lake. So, yeah, we've started ripping up all the fish because we can. And we're probably going to keep doing that for the rest of time. I'm actually thinking about having a belt of fish that just goes around the base for, again, reasons. That's like 400 or 500 fish already. From just a couple of lakes. So yeah, we've got a heap of fish. On top of that, the plans for next week is to, as I said, really upgrade things. We have this small build here, which is... these current builds. So let's start with our current builds from a couple of weeks ago. We had the faster furnaces, which are bringing in 60 items per second and outputting 60 items per second. The idea was we could feed a couple of blue belts down here and we could get 60 items out the front, which we could then split and share over our green circuit builds using about 52 iron over 2 belts. The plan is to replace all of that with one of these, which will use 40 in and produce 56 out, which again is enough to run 2 of these quite happily with a little bit left over. So that's the plan for next week, along with liberal use of Upgrade Planner. And on top of that, we got a brand new research, which was actually the research that's just finished, which is uranium transmutation, which is probably going to come into a lot of very, very handy for us, and is probably maybe going to be the source for all our future problems. It takes in 1 uranium-235, so 1 shiny rock, and 1 alien artifact, and gives us back 5 to 15 iron and copper, and also has a 95% chance of giving us back our alien artifact. So next week, I think we're going to do this first because it's pre-planned. And then we're going to be looking at our Cobra X build, our shiny alien artifact build. And we're going to see whether we can start making free green circuits. Because we can make with the Cobra X process, we can make shiny rocks for basically nothing by using, well, we can use alien ore to make uranium ore to then process it to then get shiny rocks and dull rocks. We can use the dull rocks and the shiny rocks to make more shiny rocks. And then there's a chance we can use that process to make ore to make green circuits. So I think it's going to let us turn biters directly into green circuits. Well, indirectly into green circuits through a lot of steps. But, you know, it's something to play with next week. On top of that, also going to look at a new oil build, because we worked out this week that me and my infinite wisdom separated these guys by exactly 2 tiles. So I can't really fit beacons in here. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. Our great sorting machine is still sorting, and as you can see, is still backing up with, well, we upgraded all the chests to titanium chests, so now store twice as much, and it's still backing up because we just can't process crap fast enough, because we don't have a use for half the stuff that we have. Anyway, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. As said, this is a recap episode, so by all means, after you've seen this, go watch the Friday Facts, or go watch the Spaghetti series with me and Pooba, because they all 3 come out the same day. Or you can go back to the Starla week and catch any episodes that you happen to miss. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Alright, bye.